But welcome everybody. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to hit the subscribe button.
I remember in middle school when you felt self-conscious if you were the last one to go through puberty. That really went topsy-turvy, didn't it?
Sometimes the Hasbara it's too much explaining yourself and it's too apologetic.
Be sure to hit the notifications bell.
I actually do believe Israel won't just bomb countless civilians.
Be sure to tweet this out. Be sure to put this up on your Facebook.
You have to be kind to people. Be kind to the guys in this mess in the first place.
Put this up on your Reddit.
Chile is a country.
Be sure to cut and paste, a link to this to go into your favorite Facebook chat group.
It's good to see so many normal people in here.
Now, spanking isn't just my deep, dark personal secret. It's America's deep, dark secret.
I've never seen it explained so simply anywhere.
Put this on WhatsApp. Put this on Telegram. Put this on your favorite messenger app.
Hello, and welcome to the Untitled Anarchist Seagull channel. I'm your host, an Untitled Anarchist Seagull called Elise. And, well, it's been another one of those fucking week. So I don't know. First of all, how's everybody doing? And as for today's program, I don't know if everyone's been following the whole dark money David Pac-Man thing that's been sort of exploding the past week, ever since an article by Taylor Lorenz came out. I was thinking we might look at some stuff about that. First of all, if you haven't seen the article, I'm just going to sort of link you to, if I find the right window anyway. This is the archive.is link, because the archive.org, the paywall, it actually makes it through the archive.org process. But this will open up even if you are paywalled out. So, Taylor Lorenz, who I think people will remember, has historically been somebody who the far right absolutely detests. Ever since she humiliated Chaya Raichik, aka Libs of TikTok, in an interview where Libs of TikTok ended up looking like every bit the incoherent, fucking Nazi that she is. And ever since then, she's been one of the people the far right loves to hate. And so she's been doing some interesting reporting on the influencer sphere, which is kind of her beat. Now, and this came out just a couple of days ago, actually. A dark money group is secretly funding high-profile Democratic influencers. Hola, Tomás, ¿cómo estás? So, we're just gonna look at this really quick. See, now there's two parts to this. One is Chorus, and Chorus is that's old news. Everybody's known about that. Nobody was ever really keeping that quiet. That's just Brylan Tyler Cohen's thing. What is new from this is that Chorus is a project of a dark money pile called the 1630 Fund. And who funds the 1630 Fund, you ask? Well, that's the thing, it's dark money, so nobody really fucking knows. It could be fucking anybody. That's the whole problem with dark money. Okay. In a private group chat in June, dozens of Democratic political influencers discussed whether to take advantage of an enticing opportunity. They were being offered $8,000 a month to take part in a secretive program aimed at bolstering Democratic messaging on the internet. But the contract sent to them from Chorus, the nonprofit arm of a liberal influencer marketing platform, came with some strings. Among other issues, it mandated extensive secrecy about disclosing their payments and had restrictions on what sort of political content the creators could produce. Okay, so the influencers in the chat collectively had at least 13 million followers across social platforms. They represented some of the most well-known voices online posting in support of Democrats, and they're key to wherever the party moves next. But ultimately, the group didn't make much progress. So, the first part of the article, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, I'm just going to go through some highlights, is these group chats between influencers who'd been approached about this contract, and debating over whether to accept it, whether to push for modifications. Hey, River Rune. Okay, let's see. So now Democrats hope that the secretive Chorus Creator Incubator program, funded by a powerful liberal dark money group called the 1630 Fund, might tip the scales. The program kicked off last month, and creators involved were told by Chorus that over 90 influencers were set to take part. Creators told Wired that the contract stipulated they'd be kicked out and essentially cut off financially if they even so much as acknowledged that they were part of the program. Some creators also raised concerns about a slew of restrictive clauses in the contract. Influencers included in communications included Olivia Juliana, who I'm not familiar with, Lauren Piretra, former Playboy executive turned political influencer, who hosts a podcast for Occupy Democrats. Barrett Adair runs an American Girl doll themed pro-DNC meme account. Sarah Jennings, David Pac-Man, and Lee McGowan, who goes by the online moniker Politics Girl. Okay, her I've heard of, and David Pac-Man, obviously, and dozens of others. The first to decline to comment, the rest did not respond to requests for comment, though Pac-Man has been heard from. And we're going to be looking at that. According to copies of the contract viewed by Wired that the creators signed, the influencers are not allowed to disclose their relationship with Chorus or the 1630 Fund, or functionally that they're being paid at all. Well, the thing is, okay, the thing is that there is an audience for the smug, condescending lib. Like, remember the West Wing? The West Wing is like, it is just prime, smug, condescending lib content in the end. Occasionally there's some good character moments, but it's built around smug, condescending lib content. Following the initial outreach, many creators expressed concern about some stipulations. According to copies of the contract viewed by Wired, creators in the program must funnel all bookings with lawmakers and political leaders through Chorus. Creators also have to loop Chorus in on any independently organized engagements with government officials or political leaders. If I want to work with another politician, this is a quote, I have to fully collaborate with them, said one creator who was offered the contract but ultimately declined to take it and asked not to be named. Quote, if I get Zoran and he wants to do an interview with me, I don't want to give that to them. Creators in the programs are not allowed to use any funds or resources they receive as part of the program to make content that supports or opposes any political candidate or campaign without express authorization from Chorus, in advance and in writing per the contract. Okay, see, right up until the word without, that was just kind of standard 501c3 stuff. RBN, I'm not really familiar with them. Or maybe I am and I'm just not familiar with the abbreviation. What does that stand for? The contracts reviewed by Wired prohibit standard partnership disclosures, declaring that creators will not publicize their relationship with Chorus or tell others they're members of the program without Chorus's prior express consent. A screenshot from a slideshow was shared with Wired following this article's publication by Graham Wilson, a lawyer working with Chorus that offers several talking points if a member of the cohort wanted to discuss Chorus publicly. They also forbid creators from disclosing the identity of any funder and give Chorus the ability to force creators to remove or correct content based solely on the organization's discretion if that content was made at a Chorus organized event. Like, okay, so here's the thing, it's like, oh, Revolution, okay, I have heard of them, but I'm not really familiar. What were they saying? So, it's like, on the one hand, everybody's got to be getting money from someplace, even if they're not getting money from, like, content, from, like, creating content, but everybody's got some kind of income. Like, the absolute bare minimum that you can expect of somebody who is, like, in the political influencer sphere is transparency about what they're getting paid and who's paying it. You know? So, like, that, I mean, all of this should just be ringing alarm bells for anyone who's serious about that, because, like, if you're producing political content that is being boosted, and it's being funded by a black box, that there's a problem there. And here's the thing, I mean, you'll hear, like, people saying, oh, nobody tells me what to say. But that's not the point. That doesn't even matter all that much. Because the thing is, the fact of this money already influences the discourse. Because somebody who's getting $8,000 a month to make YouTube videos is being amplified. Because they don't have to do other stuff in order to pay their bills. You know, I mean, if you pay somebody $8,000 a month to do fucking YouTube videos, that puts them in a position where they can do a whole lot more. Because they basically can turn down any other source of income at that point. You can actually really control the ecosystem. Okay, yes, concentrate on driving. Yeah, that would probably be best. You know, you can actually really manipulate an ecosystem without necessarily telling anyone what to say, just by paying certain people and not paying others. Like, let's just say I found, say a couple of briefcases with a total of, $10 million cash in it. Just hypothetically. I haven't, I stress. But let's say hypothetically. And, well, first I say, like, yippee, because I can actually get my head above water for the first time in a very long time. But also, that's enough to spread around a bit, because I've always believed when I'm, if I'm doing well, I want to make sure people around me, people I care about, are also doing well. So obviously I'd be helping out creators I care about. And what happens then? If I'm giving any kind of significant amount to any of these creators, then what's happening is that just by virtue of that money, and without anyone having to tell anyone what to say, the ecosystem is being very subtly nudged in favor of creators Elise likes, and, to the detriment of creators Elise is indifferent to or doesn't like. Like, the money itself is influence. It doesn't even matter if somebody is told what to say. But you should, I mean, the very least that people should be asking is where the money comes from. Well, let's see, any other important things? Okay, some were offered as little as $250 a month. The amplifier cohort would provide up to $8,000 a month. Jesus. Okay, 1630 Fund provided $141 million to more than 100 what are called left-leaning, which, I mean, let's be honest, this is like centrist liberal causes in order to bolster Democratic support during the midterms. According to a tax filing obtained by Politico, in 2020, the fund distributed more than $400 million. Which Politico said was used in efforts to unseat then-President Donald Trump and Republican Senate majority. But, let's see. The 1630 Fund, which is not required to disclose its contributors, and indeed does not, has for years been a major funding source for liberal and progressive causes, says Walker Davis, Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics. Oh wow, it was, of course, faced a wave of backlash because they included people's images in marketing without permission. That's a good look. Okay. So that's where we're starting out. Now, David Pac-Man is gonna have a normal one.
Well, I hate to start a show like this, but I do have to talk today about a defamation lawsuit. After Wired published a piece last week that made a number
Yeah,
of...
okay, now the really interesting thing that will be here, I have not watched this, but I have seen other things that he and a couple other people who have been, like, on damage control after this article came out have been saying. And one of the things about it is they keep on trying to rebut accusations that are not made in the article.
Untrue allegations and implications about me and...
Yeah, exactly, Adria. Exactly, what I was just saying. He's like, he pretended not to know how to say APAC, and it was like denying that he was getting money from them, but nobody had said he was getting money from them.
Other creators claiming I'm taking money in exchange for letting someone dictate the content of this show or...
I mean, like, literally, that's what the contract says.
Restrict what I'm talking about.
That's what the contract that he signed says. I mean, if he's saying he did not sign the standard contract that everyone else got, then he should be very clear on that.
And many
the contract has been released. It has been published, and it does include restrictions of the sort he's denying.
Claims and implications. A whole bunch of you wrote to me and said, David, are you going to sue for defamation? Suing for defamation and winning is really the way to take control back and to prove that you didn't...
And who's going to fund it if you do, David? Who's going to fund a defamation suit against Wired? Who, I mean, they ran this story by editors and lawyers. Like, they didn't... This isn't... Taylor or Lorenz didn't just sort of throw this out there and they're like, okay, looks legit. They have a fucking editorial process. So, he's gonna sue Wired, is it?
The things you're accused of. Now, it's a fair question, and I want to talk about that today. I didn't even plan on mentioning this entire fiasco again, but it really has taken on a life of its own. So I'm going to get to the am I suing for defamation question in a moment, but I also want to lay out a few other things.
Okay.
You know, the saddest part for me in all of this is that even though, you know...
Well, I mean, like, it's interesting how the saddest part is not that he did not disclose this relationship. Like, if there's nothing untoward about it, if he's actually going to outright deny that he's getting this money, that would be very interesting. That would be extremely interesting indeed, but he, to my knowledge, has not. He's been denying things that nobody said he did.
After the first 48 hours, the overwhelming majority of my audience members and fellow creators and others realize there's really no story here. Like, it's not even just the allegations and implications are untrue.
But, so, the 1630 fund is not in the mix? Chorus is not in the mix? Like, let me just read again. I'm gonna just go back and find what was actually specifically said about Pac-Man. Okay. Influencers included in communication together about the program and in some cases an onboarding session for those receiving payments from the 1630 fund include David Pac-Man and a bunch of other people. That was one reference. Was there any other? No, that was the only specific reference. So they specifically say he was included in this onboarding. That's all they've said. Yeah, see, I actually think Barry Weiss probably won't. Barry Weiss is full of shit enough that she will take dark money with one hand and condemn it with another.
It's just, there's not even really a story here. Most people realize that. Way more people always see the original allegations and they never see the corrections. And that,
There haven't been any corrections, though, David. I mean, I'm looking at the most up-to-date version of the article. The only thing that has been updated is that one of the lawyer mentioned at one point in the piece had not been reached for comment previously, and now he's been reached for comment. And so they incorporated his comments. They didn't correct shit.
that's something we're going to deal with in a moment as well. The hardest part is that some people who have trusted me for years have now canceled their memberships on my website because they wrongly believe the DNC tells me what to say.
Well, I mean, it would be nice if we had that level of specificity about exactly who's telling you what to say, though, David. The thing about dark money is it could be literally anybody. Well, I mean, it would have to be somebody who has money, so... I mean, that does limit the field a little bit, but, yeah.
Or that chorus makes me get permission before I cover a topic, or that...
Are you saying you did not sign the standard agreement? I mean, I could believe it. He has enough of a following independently that he might very well have a separate deal. I would not be surprised about that. I mean, like, when Stabsuck started, they also gave special deals to, like, these prominent right-wing creators who'd been kicked off of Twitter for hate speech at the time. That was kind of what Stabsuck started out as. Yeah, but, yeah. So, if he's denying that he signed the contract as the one that's been published, he should be very clear about that.
My opinions 2 years ago were shaped by Chorus, despite Chorus being spun up like 2 months ago.
Well, I don't think... Taylor Lorenz didn't say that, it's worth noting. I don't think anyone is actually claiming that dark money time travels.
There are people who will not be satisfied unless I file and win a defamation suit, and otherwise they have just said, this must be true.
Like, you're not denying anything substantive here.
And haven't even come and asked me about it. Now, I don't know that a lot of people I'm hearing...
Okay, well, okay, at this point somebody should have asked him, like, because the obvious question is, what is your relationship with Chorus and the 1630 Fund? What are the terms of any contract that you signed with them? If you're saying you didn't sign the contract that has been made public, then show us the one that you did sign. If you're saying you didn't sign any contract at all, then explain how it is your name is on these onboarding documents. Like, those, I mean, if he wants to deny that the story is true, specifically as it concerns him, those are the things he needs to be addressing. And it's, like, just hard not to notice that he's not.
Really my core supporters anyway, and we're going to get to that a little bit later in the...
Yeah, see, if you care about his funding sources and the fact that he's not transparent about them, then you're not a real fucking David Pac-Man fan. I don't know if you can live down that shame of not being a fake David Pac-Man fan. I mean, imagine, like, this sort of thing, to be a David Pac-Man poser? I can't think, that's like the worst kind of thing to be a poser about.
Joe, but I want to again say, Chorus is not involved in content creation. They're not involved in content creation.
Wait, okay, now that's an interesting and very broad statement. Because again, the contract does give them some say in content creation. If he's saying that they're not involved in the creation of his content, that's a whole different matter. And he's being extremely vague, and I can't help thinking it's intentional.
They don't direct content.
You saying in general? Because again, the contract says they do.
Don't pay for content. They don't.
I mean, $8,000 a month. That's nothing to you.
Subsidize content.
I would call $8,000 a month something of a subsidy, wouldn't you?
They don't sponsor content. They don't restrict content.
I mean, again, the contract that's been made public. I mean, is he talking about his content, or is he talking about content in general? Because if he's talking about content in general, then he needs to explain what it is with this fucking contract, and all the documents that got leaked. Because all the documents that got leaked, all these internal discussions, the contract documents, the fucking slides, the onboarding shit, all of that very clearly says the exact opposite of what he's saying.
They don't require anything in terms of content of creators.
Again, I mean, we just looked at the article, and if he's disputing any of this specifically, he should explain on what basis.
Never suggested, David, why don't you do the story?
Oh, okay, so now are we talking about, is all of this about him specifically, or is he making a general statement? Because again, that I can believe, actually, that he might have a separate deal, because again, he's huge. I don't know why. I can't imagine anything worse to dedicate one's time to than him.
David, why don't you stay
actually, I mean, you've seen what else I watch on this fucking stream. I can imagine it.
away from this story? That it just doesn't exist. It's a scholarship and support incubator for...
It's a scholarship, so there's money. That's what a scholarship is, David.
Creators. There are very small channels. There are larger creators like Aaron Parnas and I. The idea here is grow the left-wing ecosystem.
Well, you're not part of the left-wing ecosystem, though, David. Let's be honest. So, wait. So he was just saying a second ago that nobody was getting paid? And now he's saying there are small channels and... there are scholarships. That's what he's calling it, scholarships.
Now, because...
Are you getting one of those, David?
Misleading article and even more confused commentary from other creators.
Well, maybe you could help clear up some of the confusion by being less confusing yourself. It actually seems like he's kind of deliberately muddying the waters here.
Who simply read the article, in some cases misunderstood it, went on and did stories about it. Some people have decided to cancel the David Pakman show.
I mean, I'm not canceling the David Pakman show because as far as I'm concerned, the fucking David Pakman show was never on.
I don't know how to fix that part yet.
Well, I mean, let me just give you a little idea here, David. One thing to do would be to go line by line through the article. Specifically the bits that concern you, but in general. Yeah, I mean, he is. He absolutely is, Tomas. I mean, he is, like, he's center-right. But, okay, if you wanted to see, the word you're looking for there, David, is regain trust. You want to regain some people's trust whose trust has been lost because of this lack of transparency and funding and content control and all that stuff. So what I would do in that situation, especially if the article is untrue, if there is absolutely no truth to it as pertains to me or pertains to somebody else, is go line by line through every single factual statement and address it directly and say either, okay, this is true, but it's actually taken out of context, and here's the context they're leaving out, and this is just made up. And go through and say all that stuff and provide people with a basis to believe it. Like, that would be the thing to do. And to explain, if you're not connected with these people, if you're not connected with the 1630 Fund, if you're not getting money from them, then why not just outright say that? Because he's not saying that, interestingly.
What we have here is Brian Tyler Cohen coming out and raising money for a project he doesn't take a penny from. It's not...
And no, this isn't... Nobody cares whether he takes a penny from it. The point is, yes, we know about the project. That's the project he's talking about there is Chorus. But the issue here is the 1630 Fund more than anything.
Nefarious subterfuge of any kind. It's Brian.
But, okay, is Brian the 1630 Fund, though? Because Chorus was old news. But the 1630 Fund's involvement is what's new. So... because the fact that the 1630 Fund's there means it's not just Brian. Whatever you think of Brian, I mean, I really hadn't paid attention to him. I saw some of what he said about Gaza, and it was absolutely vile. So, I mean, honestly, fuck him. But yeah, I mean, it clearly isn't just him, because the 1630 fund's in the mix. And if you're going to deny the 1630 fund's in the mix, well, I mean, then you got some work to do, David, because the 1630 fund says the 1630 fund's in the mix.
Of course I support
is my
it,
understanding at this
because
point.
I know Brian and I know his intentions, and it's a great thing. Now, maybe the worst part of this is that other creators, some, although most now are kind of like there's no story here, but some creators in the first 48 hours took the Wired story and expanded it with even more outrageous claims.
Such as?
Suggesting that it's APAC or IPAC. I don't even know how it's pronounced. APAC.
Yeah, right. Yeah, first of all, I mean, he does know how it's pronounced. Everybody fucking knows how it's pronounced. It's like one of the most talked about lobbying organizations in the country, and he's somebody who does political commentary after a fashion. He fucking knows what it's called. But the article does not say that. The point that the article makes is that these people, this 1630 outfit, they don't have to disclose shit about where they're getting their money. So it could be anybody.
IPAC, that is funding this show or other creators. Of course, not true. That the DNC is involved, not true.
Okay.
The result...
No, I mean, that also, it's worth noting, is not in the Wired article. And he hasn't cited an article that it's in, either.
Is that a lot of people in my audience have become confusedly furious with me, and some have canceled memberships. It takes years to build enough trust with someone that they say, I'm going to pay for this.
Yeah, well, yes, and the way is, what's happened here is it turns out people are feeling that you may have abused that trust because of your connection with this outfit and the fact that you haven't been transparent about it. See, I mean, I would not be surprised if they don't. I mean, first of all, APAC is way smaller than a lot of people realize. I mean, the way it's talked about, you'd think that they had trillions. They don't. They actually have a very small budget, as befits what is really the propaganda wing of the oil and gas and arms industry. I mean, he was in the onboarding documents. That is the only reference to his name in the Wired article is that he's included in the onboarding documents.
And it takes seconds for them to cancel it. Others have unsubscribed from YouTube and other platforms. There are people now, not just hoping for us to fail, but monitoring to see if...
What if there are people hoping for you to come up with a decent explanation for all of this that isn't just you making up accusations that have not been made and denying them? What if people would like you to actually address the substance of what's being talked about here, which is the dark money outfit that's in the mix? Like, how do you feel about there being a dark money outfit in the mix, for example?
We do have the failure. I don't want to let those people have the satisfaction.
Well, again, if I found myself in this sort of situation, let me just say, I don't expect ever to find myself in this particular fucking situation, but if I did, and I was trying to regain trust, I think the first thing to do would be to come clean and recognize that actually there is some explaining to do, because unless you're saying that this entire thing is a pure fabrication, including the involvement of 1630, including all the onboarding documents, if you're going to make that claim that there's this huge conspiracy against like fucking David Pac-Man and others, you're going to have to provide some fairly significant substantiation for that. But you're not doing that, though.
So we estimate about 6,000 YouTube subscribers out of 3.3 something million. About 6,000 YouTube subscribers
That's all?
have canceled. Now, during the same period of time, 5,000 have signed up. but 6,000 have canceled.
So what are you fucking complaining about? You got 3 million and less than 1% fluctuated. I would imagine that actually a channel this big has that kind of fluctuation just due to fucking computer error. I mean, the way he's been talking about it, you'd think he'd lost half his subs. He's got 3 million and he lost 6,000 and he gained 5,000, so he lost 1,000. He lost 1/3%.
I'm not asking them to come back. Many of them have made their decision. If they decide to come back, great. What I am asking is, if you're a regular watcher on YouTube and you're not subscribed, there's about 4 million of you, consider subscribing.
Oh, well, can I get paid by the 1630 fund if I subscribe? I mean, if they're paying for the content, they might as well pay for the subs.
If you listen to the audio podcast, you don't watch on YouTube, but you have a Google account, consider subscribing. If you
consider explaining this. Consider, not fucking evading the issue. Because the issue here, fundamentally, is about transparency. Now, I don't pay a huge amount of attention to this jabroni, but I would not be surprised if transparency is something that he has, at times, actually expressed a lot of concern about, that he would probably say was a thing that matters to him. This is about transparency. And he's still not being particularly transparent, and that, I'm actually kind of shocked that only 1/3% of his subscribers have disappeared after
on TikTok,
that.
consider subscribing on YouTube. There's no downside, there's no cost.
Yeah, well, the downside is you get served fucking David Pac-Man videos in your recommendations. And the cost is the time that it takes to say stop recommending these fucking videos.
And of course, remember that this show primarily is funded by direct memberships at joinpacman.com. Now let's get...
Primarily? What's it funded secondarily by?
To the defamation issue. Over the last few days, I've consulted with some of the top defamation attorneys in the country, lawyers who have won some of the largest verdicts, I think, in U.S. history. And one thing I appreciate about good lawyers is they give you the full story up front. And most lawyers I've dealt with discourage litigation. They give you all the downsides. If you go to a lawyer and they go, oh, this is a slam dunk, let's start litigation tomorrow.
This isn't a slam dunk, though, David. You're a public figure. You're a public... Yeah, the thing is, in a U.S. jurisdiction, this is by no means a slam dunk, because he has to prove first of all that it's false, and he has to prove actual malice. And
I've learned to be skeptical of those lawyers, and most lawyers try to talk you out of litigation unless you
I would say any decent lawyer would be talking him out of litigation, because in order for this to be false, you would have to explain how all these documents came into existence that supposedly are false. He hasn't seen the documents, but he knows they're false. He would have to explain how his name ended up on them. He would have to actually explain how it materially differs from whatever relationship he might have with any one of these people in question. Well, he's lying about what he's accused of. And, if we're talking about lying when you're making sort of a vague denial where it's not actually clear what your denial concerns, I would say he's being fair. He's certainly being evasive and dishonest.
Really understand what you're getting into. And number two, you really want to do it. Now, I have not decided as of this moment whether to file a lawsuit.
I'm sure defense lawyers would absolutely love to represent somebody who sues on this.
I'm not even going to name potential defendants in this segment. There's no...
Really? So, wait. Because you would think that the obvious potential defendant would be Taylor Lorenz and Wired? So, wait, he's not saying that he would... okay, so he's not saying that if he was going to sue for defamation, that he would be suing the people that published the article he is claiming is nonsense? That's interesting. He won't even commit to that. Wow. God, this guy's a fucking weasel.
reason to, but there would be multiple. If I were successful, the upside in theory would be I've cleared my name, at least in some generic...
Cleared your name of what, though? Because you haven't actually really addressed what you're denying.
sense, and that would be great. But there are some significant downsides to getting involved in that.
Like, you'd get your ass kicked, probably, and there would be discovery. And that discovery would include any paperwork discussing your relationship with the 1630 Fund, with any of these people that he's denying any connection with, or, like, suggesting... Well, he's not really denying any connection with them, but he's sort of implying a denial without actually explicitly saying it. Like, the discovery would be intense, and it would certainly involve everything to do with his funding.
Is the cost. Unless you're in a highly public situation like the Sandy Hook parents suing Alex Jones.
I mean, this is a pretty public situation.
Or some of these other scenarios.
And actually, the Sandy Hook...
You're not going to get a lawyer to take the case on contingency. Meaning you start paying legal fees.
Well, I mean, if the lawyer thinks you're likely to win, they may very well take it on contingency.
Immediately. And I've been advised this could take 6 figures in legal fees just to get to the end without even a guarantee of getting the money back, right? I mean, hopefully you win, but winning can depend even...
And he still isn't even saying who he'd be suing.
Technicalities like what states are these lawsuits filed in? So that's the first consideration. Secondly, a case like this probably takes 12 to 18 months.
I mean, potentially the discovery might take that long.
And I'll admit, it would be extraordinarily stressful. I am not litigious by nature.
It's interesting. He's not litigious by nature, but he specifically used a thumbnail and a video title to imply a threat of a libel suit. That he's now for a video that he's...
I think all of you know that. I've never sued anybody.
Now I'm very curious. It's a public record whether he has or not. Now I'm kind of wondering, has he?
It would be stressful. It would be time consuming. It would... Remember, I have a newborn at home. And it also likely would take me away from the show.
And my friends at the 1630 Fund.
And so part of it is a conversation with my audience. Is it best for the show?
Like, I mean, and it's very interesting the way he's doing this, because he has already admitted that there are people in his audience who read that article and will only believe that and they're saying basically they assume it's true unless he actually is willing to fight it in court. Which, I mean, I actually tend to distrust libel plaintiffs more a lot of the time. I mean, there are exceptions to every rule, and it depends very much on the jurisdiction. There's some jurisdictions where it is so easy to shut somebody up with libel action that I absolutely have no trust in anyone who relies on it, because you basically have to prove nothing.
Is the audience best served by 12 to 18 months of litigation
that he wouldn't be able to comment on publicly? I mean, he could legally, but his lawyers would seriously advise against it. And of course, the thing is, he could just come clean here.
Instead of just focusing on the show and focusing on the baby. And then number 3 is the reality of the outcome. Imagine that it takes 15 months and I win, right? Imagine I win. Maybe there's
I mean, there's almost certainly going to be an appeal if he wins.
Financial settlement, maybe not. But even then, the damage, to the extent that there will be damage, is mostly going to be done.
And all because this is the route you're going rather than actually coming clean and addressing this thing head on.
Am I really going to go 15 months from now and show the people that did abandon the show right now the victory? And are they then going to come back? And, you know, most defamation cases don't even go to trial. They end in a settlement.
I mean, and a lot of them don't go to trial because they fall apart. And I don't see how he has case here.
Settlement often includes...
Unless he's actually saying, because, you know, Wired are very specific about the documents they've got. And they will have shown that to their lawyers. So they probably feel that they're fairly well covered, and Taylor Lorenz is fairly well covered. So unless he's actually saying that there was a forgery in the mix, I mean, it's really not clear how he would expect to prevail here.
No one can talk about the settlement. So it's also like, if at the end of all of that, 6 figures in legal fees and all of this, if there is a settlement, okay, I get some money, but is it even really the public victory that might help from a publicity standpoint?
I mean, why not just come clean about things?
Especially if it's a settlement no one's allowed to talk about. So that's what I'm contending with right now. The damage, the possibilities of a defamation lawsuit, the effect on my audience, the effect on the business. So I want to hear from you.
I mean, Jesus. Okay. So, the Cavernacle has an interesting video on this subject. I thought we might check that out.
All shaking hands with Biden just before he finished being president after he did the worst $1,000 a month to creators affiliated with his program. And this was
if you're not familiar with the Cavernacle,
and
let me just link him in chat. Yeah, I know, it's like, this is a very straightforward thing to address if it's not true. You just go line by line, you say, okay, they accuse me of this thing, here's why that's not true. They accuse me of this thing, here's why that's not true. And, you know, you just do that. What he's doing is to avoid ever seriously even acknowledging what is at issue. And that is slimy shit.
Brian Tyler Cohen, who doesn't seem to personally run anything on his social media, has basically gone on a spree of smearing Taylor Lorenz's credibility as a journalist and not really responded to the heart of the article. It really seems like he's innocent. He even made it look like Taylor Lorenz is friends with Candace Owens.
There are people like Taylor Lorenz who are desperate to tear the left apart, and in fact...
like, motherfucker, you're not part of it.
It becomes clear who her efforts help when you hear stuff like this.
Genuinely, I kind of like Taylor Lorenz.
See, what's wild about this, I mean, what is so fucking dishonest, is they're talking about the fact that Taylor Lorenz, because she is very immunocompromised, is one of the few people in media in the US who insists on acknowledging that there is still a pandemic going on and that people need to fucking take precautions. And so they're saying that they think, so this is not them being nice. This is them saying they think they're saying she's out of her mind. They're saying she's delusional. And they're saying, yeah, when she says this, she actually believes it. That's what they're fucking talking about here.
Because I know that she actually...
Like, the far right hates Taylor Lorenz. Ever since the Chaya Raichik thing, she has been really way up on their shit list. I've never heard, like, fucking Pim Tool talk about, you know, Brian Tyler Cohen or even, you know, David Pacman. I mean, I don't watch them that much. So, that doesn't mean they never have. Let me just be clear about that. But I've certainly heard him go off on fucking Taylor Lorenz quite a few times in the relatively small amount of time that I've spent watching his horrible fucking channel.
What she says. You get what I'm saying?
So yeah, I generally don't align myself with friends of Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens.
God, that is just so fucking dishonest.
This appears to be is that this liberal group he's running primarily funds pro-Israel, anti-leftist content creators. Brian Tyler Cohen himself has rarely made a video about Gaza on his channel. In fact, when I made my video last year, I went through nearly all of his content, and he made one video about Gaza, and that was interviewing one of the Pod Save America bros on like October 8th. He never spoke about it again until he tried to force people to vote for Joe Biden, right?
They were going to settle the issue of those on the left looking to punish Joe Biden at the ballot box. I absolutely understand and appreciate that people are vehemently unhappy with Israel, with Gaza, with inflation. I am by no means here trying to claim that Joe Biden is perfect.
Like, yeah, this is fucked up for this to be the only thing. Like, the one time you talk about the genocide is when you're trying to do a campaign ad for the guy who's committing it.
Because he's not. But here's the thing. They're never going to be perfect. I've never seen a politician in my entire life whose views align with mine on every issue. And that's okay. That's...
Well, I mean, it's interesting, like, his views
how it is.
have not even been expressed on this.
You've heard the saying, voting isn't marriage, it's public transport. You're not waiting for the one, you're getting the bus. And if there isn't one to your destination, you don't not travel, you take the one getting you closest to where you want to be.
Yeah, and of course, sometimes the thing is that voting is not going to any of the destinations you're trying to go to, so you have to take a bus that other than voting.
If I were to say, I'm not gonna...
Well, because they are comparing themselves, they say that they are to the left of, you know, Pim Tool or fucking, you know, fucking Richard Spencer or somebody like that. And because they're to the left of people like that, they call themselves the left. Because they refuse to acknowledge anyone to the left of them.
For Joe Biden because he wasn't perfect on every issue, that would be me sacrificing my future. And using my vote to punish Joe Biden is not more important than using my vote to protect my future. Biden's the most progressive president of our lifetime.
This guy is as phony as they come. He is essentially a unpaid or paid mouthpiece for the DNC. He's really good friends.
No, well, I mean, allegedly he does not take any money out of Chorus, or which includes the money that Chorus gets from the 1630 fund. May be true, maybe not. Who knows? I mean, I'm a
Congressman James
but he's getting paid by somebody.
Forward in his book, he's deeply connected to the Democratic Party while pretending to be some sort of progressive.
Okay, I have a really exciting announcement that...
Well, yeah, but you see, Tomas, you're talking too much to do with reality here. This is the mental world of liberalism, and in liberalism, like, talking about the system needing to go, like, first you'd have to acknowledge that a system's there, and they don't really, you know, liberalism doesn't see a system. It doesn't, it avoids ever seeing patterns about anything except anything it doesn't like.
I want to share about something I've been working on for a long time. I've written my first ever book. It's called Shameless. Also, the book features interviews with a raft of absolute pros in their respective areas. I sat down for this book with Jen Psaki, Pete Buttigieg, Al Franken, Mehdi Hassan.
Okay, so you have one torturer and one sexual harasser in there.
And Pfeiffer, Mark Elias, and Heather Cox Richardson. And the foreword is written by Jamie Raskin. I could not be more proud of the team that came together for this book, and I'm beyond certain that you'll benefit from hearing what they all have to say.
And what I love sometimes about predicting someone's like being bored or influenced is when they show themselves to be a real nasty piece of shit, and that is the only satisfying bit about this. Brian Tyler Cohen has firmly showed that he is just a piece of shit. Like, what he has been doing, smearing Taylor Lorenz, is straight out of the MAGA playbook. And it also shows to you the difference between a journalist and a propagandist. It doesn't matter what you think of Taylor Lorenz. It doesn't matter.
I mean, I don't think that there is a categorical difference between a journalist and a propagandist. I mean, journalism tends to be a form of propaganda. Now, that doesn't mean the individual journalists are conscious of their involvement in it, but there is selection going on, and that selection virtually always serves some kind of an agenda.
Matter if she's treated you poorly, it doesn't matter if you dislike her. She's an actual journalist, and when she gets things published on actual credible news sites like Wired, for example, where the recent story was, that's because she's both a journalist and the team at Wired are following media law. People who are YouTubers often don't even know about media law.
In the US, it is easy not to know about media law because it is actually remarkably difficult to break it because of New York Times and Sullivan and other First Amendment case law. It's not like, I mean, he's thinking about the British situation. The British situation is fucking dire. I mean, post McLibel, it is not quite as dire, but it is still really fucking dire.
Have a team behind us with editors and lawyers who can help us with stories. And the fact that Brian Tyler Cohen, who just runs an anti-Trump Blue MAGA slot channel, feels like with his massive platform he should start trying to really call into question the credibility of actual journalists and the press who are doing good work, shows you everything you need to know about Blue MAGA in general.
Okay. So, I'm just gonna skip through this a little bit.
If you've been caught up on
It's
the
a
frenzy of social
long video, we're not gonna get through the whole thing.
Video, a lot of you wouldn't have actually read it, and I'll confess, I actually read this article because someone else sent it to me, and I didn't actually see Taylor Lorenz wrote it. I thought it was a good article.
And remember, like, if it hadn't been for this article, I mean, Taylor Lorenz was actually reasonably popular with these sorts of people, because most of what she did was, most of what she does is report on how dodgy the far right is.
And I feel like if you took her name away from it and it was written by another author, people would have a lot less to say, but they're seeing Taylor Lorenz as an easy target because she is more controversial. But let's actually go through the article.
Well, I mean, she's controversial only in the sense that Nazis have it out for her, though.
What it's actually claiming, and then we're going to look at the reaction of the people in the article. And I think you guys can probably judge for yourself, even without my commentary. Do you think these people have anything to hide? Dark Money Group is secretly funding high-profile Democratic influencers. Again, this is not on a site owned by Taylor Lorenz. This is published in Wired. Wired does loads of great reporting, has lots of people contributing.
I mean, it does a lot of mid-reporting, too, let's be honest.
Obviously, has editors, staff, legal teams and stuff like that. So even if you don't like Taylor Lorenz's like journalistic ethics or whatever, she's writing for this page, which will have certain standards that are completely out of her hands. She writes here, in a private group chat in June, dozens of...
Okay. Actually, if he's reading through the article, so... And I already read through the article, we don't need to do that twice.
Support people like Zoran Mamdani. Supporting people who are way more anti-Israel vocally, and they're really popular across Gen Z. So they're seeing... Support people like Zoran Mamdani. Support... 24 with ties to Good Influence, a for-profit influencer marketing agency aimed at helping content creators connect with social good campaigns. Good Influence was founded in October 2020 by Stuart Perlmutter, the former communications director.
I think that's Perlmutter.
Of Kentucky. He co-founded Chorus.
Listening to people stumble over Yiddish names is always fun.
Brian Tyler Cohen. So there was a few little updates to the article, but broadly it speaks to itself. And what I say it probably is, it's Brian Tyler Cohen and Democratic insiders like himself trying to groom the next generation of Democratic voters, because this is what they're seeing. They're seeing a lot of people now support people like Zoran Mamdani, supporting people who are way more anti-Israel vocally, and they're really popular across Gen Z. So they're seeing the Democrats...
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, fundamentally, this is, I mean, the Democrats have a problem that the Republicans don't, because the Republicans are able to offer their voters the things their voters, at least some of the things their voters want, and so they don't actually, their support does not, for the most part, tank, because the people who voted for them got what they signed up, at least some of what they signed on for. And their donors and voters are largely, there's a strong overlap in terms of their agenda. With the Democrats, you got the voters and the owners, and they are complete loggerheads. The voters want one thing, the donors want the exact opposite, and the donors don't even, the donors think that if you actually just have politicians who never even acknowledge that there is health care, that people will suddenly stop caring whether they have access to it. And all this sort of thing. They think that they can sort of dissolve the people and elect another, as Bertolt Brecht put it once. And it doesn't really work like that, and so the result is their support has tanked.
Party massively shift against Israel. And obviously, so many of the Democratic Party right now are still pro-Israel. So I feel like this is part of a campaign to stop that from happening. You see a lot of Gen Z people running for Congress who are pro-Israel themselves, and they hope this continues. They're going to be establishment Democrats who are like Brian Tyler Cohen. They're not actually progressive anyway. They will support the presidential nominee no matter what. They'll support Kamala Harris, Gavin Newsom, They'll do all this shit. They'll literally just be a Blue Magga's wet dream, and Brian Tyler Cohen and other sponsors. Think about what we've just gone through, and I know you might have been bored with that article because you guys don't like reading. Think about what we actually read, think about what the story actually said, and think about if they're actually addressing it, or if they're taking the next leap in logic.
Okay. I mean, we saw this with Pac-Man, and he does not address it at all.
Are they saying stuff that Taylor didn't say and rebuking that? And are they responding to stuff that isn't actually in the article? And think about how they're actually framing Taylor Lorenz herself.
Okay, let's get it. I want to see the actual stuff.
The receipts. Like, firstly, show us the contract, and also respond to the article. Don't smear the journalist who wrote it. Makes you look like Donald Trump. Let's get into Brian Tyler Cohen's response, what he was retweeting afterwards as well.
At the risk of giving an internet troll more attention, I want to address a piece that Taylor Lorenz...
An internet troll. Like, that's cute. So, I don't... a couple of... Before she published this, I think you probably would have, acknowledged that she was a journalist. But now that she has, just pointed out the financial dealings of somebody he's involved with, now she's an internet troll.
Yesterday for Wired. An initiative aimed at boosting Democrats online offers influencers up to $8,000 a month to push the party line. All they have to do is keep it secret and agree to restrictions on their content. Literally nothing in this statement is true.
Okay, let's go for it.
The article is about Chorus, which is a nonprofit that I helped found to build up a creator ecosystem, which everybody says they want, but few are doing. So here's what Chorus is. It is a...
It's actually not so much about Chorus, that was the thing. It's about the 1630 Fund.
A scholarship program to teach creators how to grow their accounts, foster engagement, launch their own shows.
Okay, so do they pay or not? When you say a scholarship program, usually a scholarship involves money.
And become profitable on their own. It's an incubator program to build the pro-democracy ecosystem. Influencers and creators have never been more important when it comes to how Americans are consuming their news. The right has been doing this for years. And
I mean, so far he is not addressing anything, really.
Left needs to catch up. That's why we're doing this with Chorus. So let's talk about what Chorus is and what it's not. Chorus...
Okay, so again, he's making this about Chorus, and is he going to talk about the 1630 Fund? Because the whole article is about the dark money aspect.
Does not pay creators for content, does not tell them what to say, it does not control who they
I mean, here, look at this. Okay. Book engagements. Chorus will provide contractors with access to the Chorus newsroom, which coordinates booking and engagement opportunities for creators with government officials, policy, and nonprofit experts, others whose expertise and experiences are relevant. Contractor agrees to utilize the Chorus newsroom to book engagements, disclose to the Chorus newsroom personnel any engagements with government officials or others on topics related to Chorus's agenda. The contractor arranges through other means and collaborate fully with Chorus regarding all such separately arranged engagements. Like, the contract specifically is contradicting him here.
Talk to or work with, and there is absolutely nothing in the contract that could even be reasonably interpreted to say that we do. Period. Full stop.
I mean, like, the thing you've got up there, this is... As far as I can tell, this, yeah. Well, no, wait. No, he isn't putting that up. This is a TikTok. I was going to say, if he's put this up as refutation, it's not a really good choice.
A single creator who would willfully sign up for a program that would tell them what they can or can't say.
I mean, lots of creators sign up to programs like that. I mean, that's what dealing with advertisers and sponsors is like.
That's not what this program is. We pay people to...
It is about... Okay, so Taylor Lorenz in Wired broke a story about the involvement of a dark money group called the 1630 Fund in funding a whole sort of centrist creator ecosystem. And so some of the top people in that ecosystem are very pissed off about it and are trying to pretend to be responding to it without actually responding to it.
Show up to workshops and technical trainings to optimize their content online. Again, there are zero restrictions on their content. And with...
I mean, the contract seems to say otherwise. Are you saying, like, is the contract fake?
With regard to keeping it a secret, there is a standard confidentiality clause in the
Yeah, exactly.
Contract to protect the privacy of the creators. On the literal first day of the program, it was made clear to all of the creators in our kickoff session that they were absolutely free to talk about Chorus.
We're not talking about Chorus, though. I mean, he's still not talking about the thing. Which is Chorus was old news. Is he going to talk about the 1630 fund? And the fact that nobody talks about it is really interesting because, have you ever noticed the creators who are on, Nebula, for example, can't shut up about Nebula. They talk about Nebula every single chance they get, it seems. So, isn't it a bit odd that they're not talking about this if they're totally free to talk about it? Then why... Yeah, usually when somebody's involved in an initiative that they think is great, and they think other people ought to be... fuck knows. The thing about dark money is we have no idea. The really difficult way of figuring out where this money is coming from, and groups like the Center for Media and Democracy do a good job of this, is they go through the tax returns of known major donors. And they look at their charitable donations each year. And you can put together something of a picture of where groups like this get their funding that way. But they don't have to disclose their funding. So unless you do that really difficult work of going through all of these different billionaires and funds and companies and foundations and all that shit, and seeing individually in their tax returns each year where their money is going, where their donations are going, there's no fucking telling. It's almost, we can say it's almost certainly to do with rich people who have every interest in things staying basically as they are.
And we immediately followed up to confirm that in writing. There's the implication in the article that this is some arm of the DNC, or the...
No, that is not ever said. That's why he says implication very creatively. Because he didn't say anything like... we still haven't gotten to what the article actually says, which is that it's funded at least in part by dark money.
Democratic Party. We have literally nothing to do with the DNC.
The article did not say that you did.
I spend 0 minutes of my day thinking about the DNC.
Really? See, that feels like taking it just one step too far. Because I really do not buy that somebody who is this plugged into Democratic Party politics and messaging does not think, at least occasionally, about the DNC. But, the thing is, the article doesn't say anything about the fucking DNC.
The creators do not toe any party line. How could we? There isn't a party line.
You see, and the thing about money, again, is that it acts like an amplifier. The fact is, there doesn't have to be a stated party line for the most part. Because if you're not already saying things that the funders like, the funders aren't going to send you money. People who have a shitload of money generally don't go, hey, I really hate what you just said. I think everything that you're saying sucks and I hate what you stand for. Here's $1 million so you can improve your production values. And say it more often. That's not how that works. People fund things that they want more of. So there is already a selection there. They don't need to tell you necessarily what to fucking say. They pick people who are never going to say things that they're not supposed to say in the first place.
Creators are absolutely allowed to speak out against the Democrats, and in fact, plenty do. And frankly...
Well, see, first of all, this is really not what the article is about. But second of all, if you're going to say that, could you give some examples?
Course creators should and do criticize Democrats when they suck, and quite often... they do suck. I've seen
no argument there. They do suck.
Posts saying that this
and it is frequent.
APAC funded, which couldn't be further.
Nobody said that it was.
Truth. I'd venture to guess that most course creators, myself included on both YouTube and Substack, have spoken out against the atrocities in Gaza.
No, he hasn't.
We want people to create pro-democracy content full time, and we want to make sure...
What does that mean, though?
that they can afford to pay their rent and their
Like, literally, what the see, this is such weaselly language, and it really counts on an audience that does not realize how weaselly it is. Because the thing is, you can say, well, because the term democracy is actually a very contested term.
while doing it. If I could have cohorts with 1,000...
Like, do you mean you have a system like the U.S. where technically you get to throw a piece of paper into a box every couple of years, and that is the extent of the say you have in government, and you can have a little bit of a say in who rules over you, and basically no say in how they go about it? Or does democracy mean, say, a profound system of participation and decision making at every single level by the entire population? By there are lots of different meanings. Like, so you say pro-democracy, like that actually settles the question. But that doesn't. Like, personally, I wouldn't use this as my term of self-identification because it's so fucking vague. But yeah, I am pro-democracy. That is why I'm a communist. But I don't think that he would probably necessarily say that he is in favor of that much democracy.
People
Oh, we got link spam. Hello, link spam. Goodbye, link spam.
So that everybody could be part of the program, I would. For everybody saying that they would like to be part of the next cohort, we would love for you to apply. I should note that while I started this program, I've never and will never get paid. I do this 100% as a volunteer. I've never earned a dime from Chorus, and I never will. I want every dollar that we raise to go to...
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, that's the thing about the term democracy. There are a million different ways of referring to of interpreting it. There is this sort of what Noam Chomsky once called really existing capitalist democracy, which acronyms to RECT. Which is essentially, as Tomas just said, you elect people that don't answer to you. Or there are people, or there's the idea that actually the entire system should be permeated by direct opportunities for ordinary people to influence decisions at every fucking level. And that the whole thing should be arranged in such a way as to facilitate that.
Creators, so that they can do this important work without spending 8 hours a day working at some different job.
Wait a second.
Can do this important work, and I never will. I want every dollar that we raise to go to creators. So that
he was just saying a minute ago that he doesn't pay creators. He started out by saying he doesn't pay creators. That he doesn't. Well, no, he said he doesn't pay for content. Well, I mean, when you pay creators, which he's just saying here that he does.
This important work without spending 8 hours a day working at some different job. We desperately need incubators teaching and amplifying new content creators, and not just Chorus, by the way. There are other programs in this space.
Okay, he's okay. The 1630 Fund. Are we gonna talk about them?
He's doing the same thing. I want all of them to succeed. We need all of them to succeed. There are people like Taylor Lorenz who are desperate to tear the left apart, and in fact, it becomes clear.
Tear the left apart? No, I mean, first of all, I don't think I wouldn't actually say that she's part of it either. But you sure as hell aren't.
Who her efforts help when you hear stuff like this.
Genuinely, I kind of like Taylor Lorenz because I know that she actually believes what she says. Do you get what I'm saying?
So yeah, I
mean, the thing about the term dictatorship is, I mean, we're in one. The question is what kind of dictatorship you want. This is also a dictatorship. This is a dictatorship of the bourgeoisie. They have a sort of state capitalist dictatorship as well. There is a whole lot of surface democracy going around.
Generally don't align myself with friends of Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens.
I mean, this is just so fucking dishonest.
I have never seen a response to an article that is both so panicked and so full of absolute shit. Notice, again, he isn't responding to the actual article. He's even drawing in stuff like, well, people say it's APAC funded. People say it's DNC funded. Bro, the article never said that. Respond to the actual article. And again, he's saying, we don't tell people what to say. It reminds me of
Yeah.
that Noam Chomsky interview with Andrew Marr, where he says, you don't self-censor, but you wouldn't be where you were if you weren't who you were. And that's because this fund only funds certain people. And I love
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, again, he left out, like, the article is not primarily about Chorus. It is about Chorus's source of funding, and the fact that it is completely non-transparent.
the way he acts like this is the most benevolent thing someone has ever done. And talking about the left, you're not a leftist. Stop being full of shit. What leftist has not talked about Gaza? And he says, oh, I've talked about Gaza recently. You talked about Netanyahu like once on someone else's stream. You do not dedicate any significant amount of your content to talk about Gaza. You're a propagandist for Biden and the Democrats, and you're a propagandist for Harris, and now you're a propagandist for the same war criminals funding what's going on over there. You are not supportive of Gaza in any way, and everyone you fund right now, there is no content creator who has taken a significant stance on Gaza. There is no content creator who is constantly posting about Gaza. Sure, there might be a few smaller ones who have actually spoken about it a little bit. There is no significant presence there. And also, where's all the funding for the independent media that actually has a big reach on the left? Majority Report. Are you funding them? No? Are you funding Humanist Report?
I mean...
Are you funding the Rational National? Are you funding any left-wing media? No, you're funding liberal Zionist content creators who you pick for being liberal Zionists. So yes, you might not tell them what to say like specifically, but here's the thing, Brian. You are in bed with the DNC. You know everyone in the DNC. You work for the DNC. They might not be directly funding it, even though Taylor Renz didn't even allege that. But through your own organisation, you're giving people $8,000 a month. You're running workshops to tell them what to say. You're hooking them up with...
Like, I mean... when you talk about these things as a continuum rather than, I mean, there's this idea, there's a tendency to treat all, words like dictatorship, democracy, whatever, as like these discrete categories that are completely separate from each other and totally distinct. I mean, I would say that they're not part of it. That's just a matter of definition. But the thing is, if you look at it as a continuum, where the axis of change is the degree to which ordinary people have direct institutionalized influence over policy decisions at, the local, workplace, national, regional, whatever levels are available, then the whole thing becomes actually a lot less clear to a certain extent. Then you don't really have these very clear distinctions. Like, if you look, for example, like Cuba, for example, is not what I'm fighting for. If we got to Cuba, we got to what they have in Cuba here, I would say we still needed to continue fighting because the revolution isn't over. But it is very clear on certain levels that there is more democracy in the sense that I'm using the term there in many respects than here. Like when they passed their Código de las Familias, plural, familias. I mean, that happened with this huge mass nationwide consultation. There was a referendum, huge participation in that referendum. Like, a level of direct popular involvement in major national legislation that is unheard of here. So, I mean, now you could say, now there are plenty of criticisms, but I'm saying when we look at it in terms of this continuum, it is not at all clear exactly that, say, the U.S. would, or, like Western, bourgeois democracies actually come out ahead by comparison a lot of the time.
Interviews with government officials that you approve of, and they have to ask permission to interview people that you don't approve of, which you might deny. They have to ask permission to disclose if they're funded by Chorus, and most of them didn't fucking do this, by the way. So he's an absolute gaslighting liar, and it sums it all up. He brings in some random fucking clip of Candace Owens saying she likes Taylor Lorenz, but doesn't even play the whole clip. It's 2 seconds. She could have said, I like Taylor Lorenz because she believes what she says, but she's crazy.
That is like literally what she did say.
Fucking says. Tucker Carlson's laughing. He doesn't like Taylor Lorenz. It's clear he's disagreeing. So this guy is a fucking piece of shit. I've hated him forever, and there is a small satisfaction when someone you fucking hate who has this like real...
Okay, skipping ahead.
Him invoking Gaza in his response to this is an absolute joke. I don't know how he sleeps at night. Like I said, on a bed of money, but I hope his conscience isn't clear. So, yeah, getting fired up about Brian Tyler Cohen, but let's pivot away. Let's go to my old bestie. Let's go to David Pakman. So, David Pakman is funny as well, because he takes so much fucking money. Not a leftist, pro-Israel, anti-BDS. anti-leftist. He writes it's backfired so hard. So when I screenshotted this, they're trying to take us down.
Oh, that's what... See, I was trying to find the other video, and I did not know the title, and it doesn't help that fucking YouTube has decided to mistranslate, to, like, badly translate video titles into Spanish. Like, really badly. You can't set it so that it won't automatically do these machine mistranslations on things. They don't have a setting that allows you to just opt out of that bullshit, and it really makes it a pain in the ass to find anything, because the Spanish is no good, it's mistranslated, and it often completely distorts the meaning.
Who they are, who's they, but look at the comments. They are all just hating on him and turning against him. I absolutely love to see it. But let me play you some of David.
Yeah, somebody says, this is why we need transparency on funding and the funder of content creators. I mean, yeah. I mean, and this is a basic thing, and I would have to say, for the most part, in, like, sort of leftist creator spheres that I'm familiar with, it's the ones that actually are getting any kind of significant funding, any kind of significant money, are actually quite transparent about it, and most of us are getting, like, not getting particularly significant amounts. Every bit is appreciated, but it's not, when you're trying to overthrow the rich don't generally give you $8,000 a month to go to town on.
Again, think about the article that we read here on the video. Think about the article, what it was alleging, what it was saying, what it wasn't saying. But now let's listen to David respond. This is 8 minutes long, so I'm going to have to cut out some bits, but I want to get to the main parts of what he was saying.
Now, the article is riddled with inaccuracies, and they're not minor inaccuracies.
Like, for example?
First and foremost, this group has nothing to do with the DNC.
The article doesn't say that. And, like, which group are you talking about? Are you talking about 1630, or are you talking about Chorus?
People writing saying, the Democratic Party is telling people what to say.
I mean, I can understand that inference. I don't think it's an entirely unreasonable inference to assume that whoever is putting up the dark money for a dark money group like 1630 is probably also handing out envelopes, at the DNC. I imagine there's probably a fair bit of overlap there. But the article doesn't say that.
At its base, the group has nothing to do with the DNC, period. Number two, I do not get clearance for anything I say. I do not...
The article doesn't say that he does.
...run interview questions by anyone at Chorus. I don't tell Chorus when I'm going to be doing an interview.
I mean, the contract that has been published says that he ought to. No. I mean, and this is one of the maddening things about his other response was, like, he will talk in general terms, and it's not clear, he's vague enough that it's not clear whether he's saying he's denying this as to himself, or he's denying it as to everyone. Is he saying he's not subject to the contract that was made public, or is he saying that contract is fake and nobody is subject to it?
Single segment I have done, not a single question I've ever asked a guest, has anything to do with Chorus. They don't tell me what to talk about. They don't tell me who to interview. They don't tell me how to cover a story.
Well, I mean, that's not actually what the article... this is not a response to the accusations in the article. But it is time to wrap up, I'm noticing. And just so you know, I will be taking the day off from the afternoon stream tomorrow, because I'm going to be going out of town for a little bit, and I have to do some things to get ready for that. But I will be back at 11:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time tomorrow night. Thank you to everyone who joined in. I hope you enjoyed the stream, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.